May we all take this time right now to rise for the opening thought.
You must give to get. You must sow the seed before you can reap the harvest.
Thank you very much. We are honored today for a special visitor. Ying Chi, our district governor, has made the schlep over to NIH and NLM here to our meeting, and it is perfect timing because we are also privileged today to induct 3 new members into our club. Before we get to that, I want to have a few other things I wanted to bring up. First, congratulations as a club. All active members have paid their dues for the upcoming business period, so congratulations to everyone who submitted their dues. I also am very pleased.
How many members do we have now?
I want to say
26.
26.
26.
26.
Good, good.
We also got this from Toastmasters International. October represents the 45th anniversary of our club. So happy anniversary to us. Before we get started on
One business matter, if I may. I'd just like to remind members of the membership contest committee that we have a meeting right after this one. I suggest that we stay in this room. I did reserve conference room B upstairs, but instead of going up there, let's meet here and hopefully no one will come to disturb us.
thank you, Liz. I had forgotten about that. Anyway, with that all business taken care of, I will turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day. He is, of course, one of our more distinguished Toastmasters, Ashok Kulkarni.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. President. So, distinguished district governor, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Today's theme is the fall festival and colors, and so I thought we'll get the meeting off to the start right away. With the Halloween coming, so I brought some candies for you to share. Jamie, can you please help me with? Today is a star-studded meeting with the district governor in attendance. The first business for the meeting is the induction of the new members. And I would like to request our president to step to the podium and induct the new members. And we have the certificates in the prints ready.
May Zhang Chen, Wen-Ching Yu, and Gloria Presley please stand up and come over here, please. Fellow Toastmasters, it is now our duty and privilege to induct 3 new members into the NIH Toastmasters Club. This is an important occasion, both for these new members and for our club. These individuals have come to Toastmasters seeking to improve their communication and leadership skills, and now have an opportunity to help them learn, grow, and achieve. Everyone, you are joining a worldwide organization that has helped more than 4 million people learn to communicate more effectively. As members of the NIH Toastmasters Club, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development. You will become part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Madam Vice President of Education, have these new members been given an opportunity to discuss their needs and goals with the club? And have they been told how the program works and informed of the many benefits they will receive, as well as the obligations of membership?
Yes, they have.
Who has been assigned as mentors for these new members, if any?
I know that right now Liz will be Gloria's mentor.
Deborah will be my mentor.
Who? Deborah will be her mentor.
And TJ will be my mentor.
Will these Toastmasters please stand? Liz, you don't have to, that's okay. As experienced Toastmasters, you've been asked to help these new members get off to a good start. Do you accept the responsibility and pledge to share your knowledge and experience with our new members so that they can immediately begin to benefit from their Toastmasters membership?
Yes.
I do.
Membership in this club and in Toastmasters International is a privilege that carries with it many rewards. Yet it also places certain obligations upon you. We are a group of people brought together to do things we cannot accomplish alone. Our collective obligation is to grow and improve ourselves and to share our knowledge and experience with fellow members in a spirit of enjoyment. This means you must work diligently toward your own self-development. Evaluate others' speeches in a spirit of support and sharing. Assist the club in reaching its goals. Remain positive. And keep a smile on your face. We ask you, our new members, to dedicate yourself to personal growth, to share this great gift with your fellow members, and to help keep this Toastmaster Club strong and dynamic. Please face your fellow members and affirm your membership by repeating the following words. I, state your name,
Winston C.
Gloria Presley,
Jeho Chen.
in the presence of my fellow members,
in the presence of my fellow members,
one of you can just take it, of the NIH Toastmasters Club,
of the NIH Toastmasters Club,
make this firm obligation
make this firm obligation
to attend meetings regularly
to attend meetings regularly
and prepare fully for each assignment,
and prepare fully for each assignment,
to apply myself to the program
to apply myself to the program
outlined in the Toastmasters manuals,
outlined in Toastmasters manual,
to participate actively in club activities,
to participate actively in club activities,
to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner,
to evaluate others in a positive,
constructive manner,
to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members,
To
to build
open, friendly relationship with my fellow members.
and to bring other new members into the club
and to bring other new members into the club,
so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters.
so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters.
Will all the remaining club members now please stand and repeat your club's pledge to its new members? We, the members of the NIH Toastmasters Club,
We, the members of the NIH Toastmasters Club,
pledge to support you in your quest
pledge to support you in your quest
for self-development,
for self-development,
to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations,
to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations,
to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere,
to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere,
to give you the opportunities to help others,
to give you opportunities to help others,
and to make your Toastmaster membership
And to
and to make your Toastmasters membership
a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
Normally I would actually pin this on you, but I am not going to do that. No. You. Oh. Everyone, please welcome our 3 new members. Anyway, thank you very much. You may please now return to your seats.
Thank you.
And with that, I will return the ceremony, the meeting back to our TMOD, Ashok.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the interest of time, let's move to the next agenda, and that is the first speaker. And as you see from the agenda, our district governor, Yaning Zi, is the next speaker. Yaning graduated from Tongji Medical University in China. After his residency in internal medicine in Munich Hospital, he went to Germany and did his thesis at Munich University. Following his postdoctoral fellowship at the University of California, UCLA, he became faculty at the School of Medicine, UCLA. In 2006, he moved to Washington, D.C., and he has been working at NIH since then. The title of his speech is 90 Years Young. When I asked him about his thoughts about the theme of the meeting today, he pointed it to 90 years young. So I'm going to remind him again, tell us about his thoughts on today's theme. So before I invite him to the podium, I would like to ask Susan to read the objectives of his speech.
The objectives for the speech to organize your speech are to select an appropriate outline that allows listeners to follow and understand your speech, make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message, use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another, and create a strong opening and conclusion. The time is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Please help me welcome our district governor, distinguished Toastmaster, Yaning Zi.
Thank you. Toastmaster of the Day, Ashok, Club President, Craig, and former NIH member, guest, Roberta, and fellow Toastmasters. Did you say the title of my speech was 90 Years Young? Oh, okay. Actually, I purposely put the title as 90 Years Young. And I'll explain why I purposely put this title of the speech.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. There aren't any. Because when it comes to freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires authority. Speak. I have a dream. It's all about personal growth and guts. Never give in. Never, never, never.
Sorry, the sound system didn't work, so we thought using the laptop, so try to synchronize. A little bit behind from laptop and screen. But you see the video. At the end of the last screen, Toastmasters, well, leaders are made. The reason I say 90 years young is 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, Toastmaster now is 90 years old. But 3 years ago, first time refreshed its brand, called Toastmasters, where leaders are made. We no longer just making toast. We are also making leaders. And I chose the other reason. I thought, okay, I'm going to talk about 90 years young. 90 years is a long time. We harvest, that's about fall, because today's theme is fall, color, and festival. I thought, wow, that's perfect topic. 90 years celebration, 46th anniversary of this club, and I said, okay, that's awesome topic. But the other things is about, I mentioned earlier about the Toastmasters where leaders are made. 3 years ago, when I went to Toastmaster International Convention, the Golden Gavel recipient is John Max, if you don't know him. At the end of his session, at the end of Golden Gavel dinner, at the door, he put a big banner, say, I am made. Leaders are made. Leaders are not born. How many of you think leaders are born? Maybe there are some traits, but the trait can be changed as well. We all know gene is what is more is afterwards. How many of you think leaders are made? Okay, I haven't seen every hands up. I want to convince you during your journey in Toastmasters, every hands were up. That's my experience. When I joined Toastmasters, I was certainly not as today. I was stuttering. A lot of things I have been improved. I can firmly raise my hand, believe Toastmasters where leaders are made. The other thing is about, I mentioned talking about 90 years is harvest. Toastmasters has went its 90 years journey. This is the man behind our from the beginning. This is the man behind our 90 years organization, Dr. Ralph Smalley. That's back then. In 1924, he chartered first Toastmaster Club at YMCA in the building, in the basement of this building in Santa Ana, California. 90 years journey, 1935, first time the first club chartered outside of the United States in Canada. That's also the year district formed in District 1, where I was initially joined Toastmasters. In 1960, back then, Vice President Nixon, later on, you all know he was the president, he met Dr. Ralph Smalley. In 1973, this is a very remarkable year. I couldn't believe it when I first see this time. What that's milestone for Toastmasters. That's the milestone I see, reflects exactly what I see in this club. 1973, even though the Toastmaster was chartered in first club was 1924, I couldn't believe it takes that long until 1973. Organization is open to women. I couldn't believe it take that long, but what I see today in this room reflects exactly what is global-wide, entire Toastmaster membership. Now we have more women than men in our Toastmaster organization. Now it's truly become a worldwide organization. As you see, this is also a new logo, global logo. This is also our district logo for this year. We purposely put global behind. It is now in 126 countries, truly a worldwide organization helping people to improving their communication and leadership skills. It is not only the skills, it is further resulting in the personal growth, health, confidence as well. I mentioned about this logo. We heard at the beginning, there are several quotes. There are two quotes that I enjoy the most from the US. There are two. We heard at the beginning say, it's about the guts on that video. Two quotes that I enjoy the most from US. One is, I have a dream. You hear that in the video as well. We always need to keep our dream alive. My dream kept me, went through medical school. My dream kept me, went to Germany, finished my thesis, kept me, give up thesis, but went to UCLA for my postdoctoral, and then came to NIH. The other quote that I enjoy most is, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, from John Kennedy. That's the reason, part of the reason we're choosing the motto for this year district, be your best. Both of my parents are physicians, and I learned a lot from them, particularly from my mom. My mom always said, regardless of what you achieve, as long as you did your best, that's success. That's about be your best. Let's be, whatever we put our best to the club, to members, to everyone, to co-workers, as long as we all do our best, we'll be successful. So this is a long 90 years journey. We are now in harvest time, but at the same time, we are also a new beginning. It's the beginning of not only further improving, making toast, but also making everyone leaders.
Thank you, District Governor. And just a little,
I have the handout to the two slides.
just a little personal experience that I had with Yanning. Some of you would recollect. Yanning was the president of the NIH Toastmaster, NIH Toastmaster 2, right? This is the NIH Democracy Club. And I was the area governor, and that time Yanning had kindly agreed to be master of ceremony for the contest, area contest. And the way he organized it, I distinctly remember that this man is going to be a district governor at some point. And there he is. Wonderful. So the next item on our agenda is my speech. I'm wearing two different caps today. And so I'm going to ask Deborah to read the objectives of my speech.
The objectives of Ashok's speech, which is speak with no fear, persuade listeners to adopt your viewpoint or ideas or to take some action, appeal to the audience's interests, use logic and emotion to support your position, and avoid using notes.
Thank you, Deborah. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Your self-esteem is the most important factor for success in your life. And you are maker of that self-esteem. Nobody can take away that self-esteem from you without your permission. This is given. Don't give anybody permission to take away your self-esteem. Your perceived individual personality depends on your self-esteem, confidence, and your skills in communicating. You are communicating with fellow human beings every minute, whether it is texting, email, or oral communication or public. So communication is the key to your self-esteem and also the confidence to live in a community, be successful in the community, and lead the community. Your effectiveness in communicating depends on your ability to reach out to others. And by reach out to others means that you need to be understood by others. You need to be heard by others. And that is where the communication skill comes in. What you say, how you say it, where you say it, determines your communication skills. And Now make no mistake, there is no better place than the Toastmaster to hone your skills in communication. This is the best platform that is available to you for the big bang for the buck. Advanced communication, or the art of advanced communication, is very complex. Some of you might have tried to reach out to the experts how to develop public skills, and you would know how much it costs. The example that Ian gave about the anchor band, if you want to have a professional trainer for your public speaking skill, is way, way too expensive. As we know here in the club, some of the basics of this craft are practiced on every meeting, every minute, whether it's table topics, speeches, whether it is the role for the timer. We practice that every time we meet here. The most important word in our meeting is being persistent. You have to be persistent, that's the key word. And it is translated in that you've got to attend as many meetings as possible. I understand sometimes you can't, there is a conflict with the work meeting. But if you can attend, please attend the meeting. Take on the roles. If there is an open role, go for it. I mean, in fact, nobody else will invite you for a role. If there is an open role, grab it. If it is a tier modi or speaker role. You will see in your workplace how many times you are invited to give a speech. How many times you are invited to come to the podium and speak. Zero, maybe very low. So this is a unique opportunity for you to reach out. I would also say plan your public speaking, all the projects in the manual in a systematic way. Consider that as a quick credit course. If you would say in 4 years I'm going to finish 65 speeches, I think you can systematically organize that. And I can brag, I finished 65 speeches in 2.5 years. And that is because I'm a born again Toastmaster. I joined Toastmaster in '87, gave it up within 6 months when I got on the tenure track. I said, I just can't do both. But then again joined 5 years ago and determined that I got to finish it. If I would have stuck with it in '87, perhaps it would have much, much bigger payoff. The other thing that I think I've been always saying in this club is to taking on the officer's role. And always gave an example of Canadian geese. Canadian geese always fly in a V formation. They beat the headwinds. The one who is leading and the one behind that, it is the best system that has been mimicked or trying to be mimicked by various air forces around the world. And aerodynamics can be come over by this V formation. But you also notice that there is always a chaos in the V formation. One leg of that V is always shorter than the other. And the reason is, there is one less bird in the short leg. But you also see the birds are changing their positions. And the reason they are changing their position is because the birds in the front, the leaders, get tired. They get fatigued. So the other members in the V formation step up and give a break to the leaders, whether it is the president or whether it is the vice president for education. They need a break. The only way they can get the break is you need to step in. And you must be wondering, why am I telling you this? Just to make aware of these unique opportunities to help you enhance your confidence, enhance your self-esteem. I think I had earlier recommended to you this great book by Carmen Gallo, Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. It's a must read if you really want to hone in skills of public speaking. And the advanced communication that is described in there are certain parameters, like average words per sentence. Steve Jobs had 10 words per sentence, whereas Bill Gates, who comes out as a nerd, 22 words per sentence. There are several other parameters I will not go into, But there is one called fog index. By fog index means how easily you are understood. And Steve Jobs had a fog index of 5, whereas Bill Gates has a fog index of 20. So how easily you can understand Steve Jobs. The moment he used to step on the podium, within the jeans and a t-shirt, you can understand every move, every word that he used to speak. With all of this, I have found 3 rules that I would like to recommend. First rule is to develop the ideas. Develop the ideas, awareness about your speaking capacity, your leadership. Develop the concepts as to what you really want to do. And then attend these club meetings, take on the roles. Also, take on the roles for the leadership, not only the roles in the meeting, but also for the club. My fellow Toastmaster, if you follow these 3-4 rules in a very determined way, if you are motivated enough, I can assure you, I'll see you at the top of the self-esteem, speaking very successfully without any fear in a greater audience. With that, I would like to end. Thank you. So I changed the cap again, and the next item on our agenda is table topics, and I would like to welcome Joy to conduct the table topics for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. TMOD of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. It's fall, and as we know, fall starts the beginning of our changes of season, our colors. A lot of people like fall, you know. I tend to be more of a summer person, but, you know, there is some beauty in fall, and one of the things that our area is famous for is having all kind of outdoor and festive activities to do. And there are a lot of festivals around. And I'm going to name you some festivals. Some of you may or may not have attended, and some are really near our region. And one is the Bethesda Road Arts Festival. You have the Taste of Bethesda, the Taste of DC. You have the Autumn Festival. You have the 7th Annual Harbor Festival in Baltimore, my hometown. Go Ravens, yes. You have all types of wine festivals all around the region for those people who appreciate a good bottle of wine, myself included. You have the Halloween Festival. You have the Pumpkin Festival. You have the Shenandoah Valley Music Festival. Now, if you're a person who likes to travel, there's an Albuquerque Festival. It's called the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival in Mexico. I'm pretty sure you may have seen some pictures of these huge balloons that people you can appreciate, or you can even spend money to go and travel on. My mother enjoyed this one year, and it's just fabulous. That's happening, matter of fact, it's going on right now. And around the world, there is the Oktoberfest in Munich, the Carnival in Rio de Janeiro, and you have this festival called Coachella that happens in Indel, California. That's near Palm Springs. And I don't know if any of you were into like rap or whatever, but this is when they resurrected Tupac. It was really interesting the way they did this hologram kind of thing. That's a really cool festival. So, with so much to see and to do during the season, my first question is, what festivals do you attend or would you like to attend this year? And I want to call on
Greetings, Toastmasters, guests. I want to tell you that the festival that I have attended was very close to my home up in Boys, Maryland. And the festival was in a park down the street. But that park is normally empty and there's nobody there. There is a portion of it that's a dog park. So it's hard to believe that this park just transforms like overnight into this great big Oktoberfest. There's vendors, there's a special stand that I like because they sell crab cakes and they're delicious off this food truck. And everybody's just standing in line for these wonderful crab cakes. There's generally a lot of representatives from the Montgomery County Council that come out to speak, and it's wonderful to hear about the great leadership that is here right in the county that I reside in. There are so many different other programs that come out to show their services, such as Kaiser and State Farms and things that you can kind of shop to see if there's, a service that suits you. And the children are just laughing and they're having fun, and there's like chorus and everybody's enjoying great apples and pies and warm ciders, and I think that it's just an extraordinary time to see the beauty of the fall leaves that come into play in the warmer weather that everybody finds to be really soothing. So it's a good introduction to the fall of the year, and Oktoberfest is one of those places that I enjoy going.
Okay, so my next question is, how would you describe fall to someone who is unable to see or to smell? Let's see, how about Jenny? Are you able to come back? Jenny? Jenny?
That reminds me, Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters, of one time many years ago. We had a young woman who was blind who came to work in our section, and her job was to answer telephones and to write down the messages, type them up, and then the rest of us would answer the questions and call the person back. One day, somebody came in with a whole array of beautiful pictures of from her vacation. We were all looking at them and talking about them, and to try and describe what color means to somebody who has been blind since she was born was very difficult. She had no conception of seeing, and what I ended up doing was trying to say that there were contrasts and the different colors were important, but that she had no conception of what a color was. After all, she'd never seen colors. And we had a very hard time trying when it was necessary to tell her what something, and we would use things like, you see. Now that is something we often say, you see. Well, seeing can mean perception, and it did to her, but it was not the same thing as seeing in the sense that we all see. It was very difficult, and I don't think that you can ever really fully convey what a color is to somebody who has never seen. You can try and engage their imagination, but still it was a very difficult thing when colors came up, to help her understand what color really was.
Thank you, Jenny. Let's see. Would you like to take a stab at it? Sure. Okay, so the question for you is, clothing changes during this season. So what are you doing about your fall wardrobe?
Madam Tabletopics Master, and fellow, well, maybe soon to be fellow Toastmasters. Considering your question, what does fall mean in terms of my clothing decisions? Well, I'm struggling with this right now because I've noticed that I'm seeing a lot of moths floating around my closet. And I have to make a decision about what to do about the clothes that are there and the clothes that I need to pull out because I'm concerned that the moths have already attacked my clothing. So fall for me is evaluating what I have, understanding what the weather's going to be, and trying to plan for the upcoming months. Thank you.
What season gives you the fondest memories? Let's see. Deborah? What season gives you the fondest memories?
Thank you, Madam Tabletopic Master and fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. My question is, what season gives me the fondest memories? And I've got to, that's a toss-up between summer and spring, but I'm going to say summer. Spring is always a relief because you're just so glad to get the summer, the winter over with. But summer, there's actually more you can do in terms of swimming in the ocean, swimming in pools. And when spring comes, you can look ahead to the summer. And of course, as a child, looking back to memories of being a child, you're just so glad to get out of school and have that break where you can do things with your friends, go out and play, and be out in the sun and not have homework and not have to get up and go to school. And as an adult, since I'm the type of person that does like the beach and does like the swimming pools, even as an adult, swimming probably has the best memories. And of course, before our son became an adult, we were sort of stuck having to go on vacations in the summer between the time he started first grade and the time that he graduated from high school. Towards at the end of high school, he didn't necessarily want to go with mom and dad on vacations. But the time he was going on vacations with us, I have a lot of good memories on going on vacations to the beach and going to theme parks and going to visit relatives. So I'm going to say that definitely with me, summer will win out over spring, and summer I would say would give me the fondest memories. Thank you.
That's it. Well, that concludes my questions. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Great question, and this reminds me of the question about the blind man reminds me of this famous speech that went around in our club, that if you would ask a blind man to describe the fall, those two patients in the orthopedic ward, one by the side of the window and the young one in the corner of the room, asking the patient near the window how is the scenery outside, and the person would keep on describing a wonderful spring all the time. And then at the end of the story, the person who was describing that was blind, and the other patient never knew about it. And in a very enlightening story that went on in our club for quite some time. And I think members improved on it, and at some point then I think we just let it go. So at the next item, one of the important chapters in our meeting is the evaluation. And Debbie is the general evaluator for today. Debbie hardly needs any introduction. She has been our member for a number of years. And to help me welcome Debbie to the podium.
Toastmasters and welcome guests. And as Ashok said, the evaluation section is a very important part of our meeting. And just as a reminder, I like to say that we give constructive suggestions in a positive fashion. We usually do a combination of praise and constructive suggestions. But we don't want to sugarcoat things too much because the whole purpose of suggestions is you've got to show where you think someone could be improving. So with that said, we're going to start with the timers report for the speaker and table topics, and Jing Rang will give us that information.
Okay, so our first speaker, Yini Xie, he spent 9 minutes 21 seconds for his speech, but I think he made an excellent introduction for the Toastmaster class, for the whole Toastmaster class. Our speaker 2, Ashok, spent 7 minutes 49 seconds, and for the table topics, Gloria spent 2 minutes 7 seconds, and Jenny spent 2 minutes 56 seconds, and our guest speaker, sorry I can't remember the name, spent 1 minute 3 seconds, and Debbie spent 1 minute 44 seconds. That's it.
Thank you. Next we will move to the evaluator for speaker 1, and the evaluator for speaker 1 is Susan. So we need to welcome Suzanne to the
Thank you, welcome, distinguished Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, new members, and guests. Our speech today by Ying Chi was very inspiring. There was a very strong opening, wonderful examples, both personal and factual, and a very strong closing. You said you had started out stuttering, and look at you now. You gave a wonderful speech. So your presentation, your visual presentation with the auditory was very strong. We can all relate to the leadership qualities of Dr. Martin Luther King and President Kennedy and their famous quotes of "I have a dream" and ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So that's inspiring for all of us. And Toastmasters helps to inspire us and help us with our leadership skills and also our stuttering skills or breaking skills, as I'm doing now. It helps us speak more fluidly. And it is where leaders are made. That was an important message of his speech. Leaders are made in Toastmasters. He outlined our milestones. In 1924, we had our first club. 1935, our first club outside of the U.S. And in 1973, we opened Toastmasters to women. Wonderful milestones. So those were the facts. Your personal anecdotes I felt were wonderful as well. I especially liked what you had to say about your mother. That was inspiring, I think, to everybody. That she said your success depends on being your best regardless of what you achieve. So that was very inspiring, and I think you left us with that in your strong closing, and also the quotes that you found most compelling from your presentation. Thank you.
So now we move on to the evaluator for speaker 2, and that will be Deborah. So we need to welcome Deborah to the stand.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Ashok gave his speech today about speak without fear. And I love the fact that he opened with a very strong beginning. Your self-esteem is the most important thing in your life, because one of his objectives of this speech was to appeal to the audience's interests, and who doesn't want to have better self-esteem and confidence? So to start with a strong opening like that was a very effective hook to draw us into the speech and immediately see what we're going to get out of listening to him. I also like the fact that he gave very practical advice and hints for how we can do this through Toastmasters. He talked about taking on officers' roles and participating in different activities, practicing, having persistence. All of those types of things are very practical, hands-on things that we can do. And so to kind of give things in his speech that are practical, useful, draws us in as well. He also very effectively used humor, the idea of the born-again Toastmaster who started in '87 and came back again, and to go on and give 65 speeches in 2.5 years, which is incredibly impressive. I don't think I could ever do that. But that humorous sort of tint kind of draws us in as well. And then he effectively used a story to illustrate a point that the Canadian geese, they fly in a formation that's aerodynamic and have a lead, but yet that lead can't always be the person or the bird in the front, and others have to step up and give them a chance to rest. I think he was very persuasive about Toastmasters' involvement and what it can do for you, and he did appeal to us, used logic and emotion effectively, went a little bit long, 49 seconds, but had a lot of information, and that's actually one of the things that I think could have made the speech a little more effective, and I have the same failing, Ashok. I try to cram way too much stuff in my speeches, and so I felt at some points there was so much information being given that I kind of got drawn away from part of the topic, and I also felt the title for me was a little misleading because it was more about Toastmasters and how effective it can be for you as a growth medium than actually learning how to speak without fear. So those two things for me were threw me a little bit, but I think in general it was an excellent speech and I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Now we move on to the timers report for the evaluators, and Jin Ang will give us that information.
Susan spent 2 minutes 18 seconds for evaluating speeches 1. Deborah gave 2 minutes 24 seconds for giving comments to speech 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to the all counters report, and Quinn will give us that information.
So today I would like to say everyone did a wonderful job. So, Brad, you are clean, and Asher, you are very clean. For the table topics, Joy, you have a N. Gloria, you have a N and U low. Jenny, you have a 2 N. For our guest, you have 1 U low. For Debbie, you have 2 N. For the evaluation part, Susan, you have actor so and N. Deborah, you are clean. This concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you. Now we move to the grammarian report. Elizabeth will give us that information.
I should perhaps explain that everybody here has very good grammar. Occasional lapse here and there, but in general, no problem with your grammar. Therefore, what I do is mention other aspects. I know that there's some people here who want to improve their English pronunciation, so I'll comment on that and some other aspects of your spoken role in this meeting. Greg, you did a fine intro, but ideally you don't just read the script. You can read some of it, certainly, but there should be parts of it where you can simply speak. If you don't get it exactly right, who cares? Ashok. And this goes, there you go. This goes for almost everyone. I wish you'd project your voice more. If you're public speaking, and especially if you don't have a microphone, you need to project. Now, I'm quite hard of hearing. So maybe others can hear you perfectly, but any audience you speak to, there are going to be some people like me who have difficulty hearing, and it's kind to project your voice. Our distinguished guest, the one thing I can think of is that the title of this place is National Institutes, plural.
Oh, thank you.
And it's always good when presenting to an audience if you know exactly the name of the organization. I once heard John Kerry give an introduction to the American Public Health Association, which we all call APHA. And he started talking about AFA. Oh, AFA is such a great organization. Oh, I'm so glad to be with AFA. And the people in the audience were going, what is he talking about? It was only after about 10 minutes we could figure out, oh, he means APHA. Now, this is nothing like that kind of error, but just to illustrate that it's good to get your audience's institute exactly right. Now, Ashok, oh, I did wonder from your title if you were going to be 90 years old.
I will.
Certainly you were not. Ashok, a few little things. I think you said wonderful instead of wonderful. I think you said invited instead of invited. I missed a few words. Another little one, Bill Gates instead of Bill Gates. But again, I think you did very well. I know I criticized you at one point for banging the left hand. And this, you only had one fairly small bang and 3 taps. So way much improved. Good for you. Joy and Debbie and, oh, Deborah, no problems with speaking English.
Hallelujah.
So that's all fine. And, oh, Debbie, there was one thing. When you said that when your son was an adult, it sounded to me like you said when your son was a dog.
I certainly didn't mean that.
And it took me a second to figure out. And I got that quite wrong. So, on the whole, well done, everybody.
I just wanted to say very quickly that I thought the Toastmaster Day, Ashok was very well organized, and Joy gave a lot of information on festivals. I knew about some of them, but there's some she brought up I didn't know about. The one suggestion I had is that several points we weren't careful about keeping to the timing on the agenda in case we're a little bit over now. But so basically right now I'm ready to turn this back to our Toastmaster of the Day, Ashok.
May I just ask one thing? I noticed that most of the people here, after talking, said thank you. And at some point, I remember reading that after you make a speech, don't say thank you. Is that correct?
You save the time for your message.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So, I don't know if that's right. I personally no objection to thank you.
So, fellow Toastmaster, being a TMOD, you have a great advantage. An advantage is you can reassign a role and reap the benefits of reassigning. And today we reap the benefits of reassigning the role to Liz. Liz wanted to be the timer, and I said no, she better be grammarian.
Yeah.
And You did a great job.
Yes,
so
you did.
with that, I would like to hand over the podium back to our president, Greg.
Thank you, Ashok. You did a very excellent job. Since it is already 1 o'clock, I'm going to move very quickly here with just a couple of things. First, a quick reminder, there is no meeting next week on account of the Columbus Day holiday the following weekend. We will meet again on Friday, November 17th, and I believe at the moment,
Is the
Friday
Friday
October
after
17th.
next?
no. No.
Do we meet next? Oh, yeah, we will
It's
skip.
previous.
The next,
We
there will
skip
be
Yeah.
no
no
meeting next
meeting
Friday.
next
No
Friday.
meeting next Friday. Our next meeting is going to be October 17th, and I believe at the moment, JT, you are tentatively assigned as TMOD because you switched with me.
Yes.
So we can talk about that later. Also, one thing I think we forgot to talk about, although our most distinguished guest is sitting here right here with Shing Ji, I also want to say hello to our other guest, and may you please quickly introduce yourself and how you got to be familiar with our club today.
Hi, I'm Roberta Albert. I am actually a born-again, I guess, I'm considering being a born-again Toastmaster. I was part of the club, I was trying to come up with the date, probably 2007, 2008, around there. So I remember Liz and I remember Jen. And I'm considering coming back.
Thank you. I'm happy you're here. Feel free to come to as many meetings as you would like. There's no compulsion to join until you're ready. And with that, may we all rise now for the closing thought.
The harvest of old age is the reconnection and the abundance of blessing previously secured. It's by Marcus Cicero.
Meeting adjourned, everyone. Happy weekend.
Thank you all that joined.
Did you remember the second one? Good to tell somebody. Glad I remember.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's nice.
But you know, our program analyst is administrator. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm looking for,
Yeah, so I was Wednesday.
Check that out. I've been in Germany, so I can see it. So I had
Could you sign off?
Yeah, so where's the form? Oh, here, yeah. So here.
Thank you.
You already have this. So, would you like to come the day before? And also you can feel like I will give your. Yeah? Okay. Send me an email.
Okay, thank you.
Did I sign up for something?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, for the 17th.
Okay.
So that concludes the holiday, the Columbus Day, and then I'll be back the next Wednesday for the next meeting.
Please help yourself. Please help yourself.
Thank you for bringing those.
Sure, you can.
Would you like?
Yeah, those were good, Ashok.
Right after.
I nabbed
Thank you.
You get that. That's 17. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Ray. No, you did a great job. I think we should appoint you as a permanent grammarian. As a permanent grammarian. Good, good. And you are very blunt. That's very nice. You're very frank.
Yeah.